hardcore Trump hater commentators on cable news have still stuck with the idea that Trump ought to be questioned about this ridiculous charge that he had something to do with Jeffrey Epstein's despicable business. And lost on most of these people, too, is the fact that Jeffrey Epstein was a Democrat donor, a huge supporter to the Democrat Party, donating billions of dollars over the decades to the Democrats. You'd probably be hard-pressed to find a Democrat that didn't take some money from Jeffrey Epstein or one of his outlets. So, consequently, they have to try to pin this thing on Trump, which he's about the only billionaire who didn't have anything to do with it. So the story went away pretty quickly, covered up by a tropical storm Barry for the past 72 hours, the only thing you hear about. The world's falling apart, but all you hear about is excess water in the Gulf Coast, as if that's news. I mean, God bless the people in the Gulf Coast for being able to handle all that stuff and go through it. But in the grand scheme of things, does it deserve 24/7 coverage for 3 days? I don't think it does. I mean, an hourly update of 5 minutes would be sufficient, would it not? You would think. Anyhow, there's going to be more. We're going to talk more about Jeffrey Epstein, the Pedo Island proprietor, later. It's just a horrible thing that, what we don't realize is the entire government is thoroughly corrupt. There's a handful of good people in D.C. The rest of them need to be, fired. Let's just put it nicely. So anyway, let's go on to the women's soccer team and the despicable acts of the captain and others on that team. The disrespect of our country, our flag, our president, and of you, because they represent you, whether you like it or not, in the world stage. These female weirdos represent you. Now, normally that'd be fine if they weren't so disrespectful. So now they use their platform not just for disrespect, but to perpetuate this farce that they aren't paid enough compared to the men's soccer team. Let me give you a little detail there. Although they may not drag home as much money as the guys do, the guys get no benefits and they are paid strictly on performance per performance. Okay? The women's team isn't structured like that at all. They have a guaranteed salary and a boatload of benefits they get whether they play or not. So it's totally unfair to compare the two types of different labor arrangements. But you're not going to hear that in the media when they want to make hay about, men hate women and men take advantage of women. Let me tell you something as a man. I've been around a little while. I guarantee you, women have taken more advantage of me than I've taken of women over the years. They're pretty damn good at it. So there you have it. I mean, let's just talk for real here. They got what we want and they use it. And that's okay. I'm all right with that too, by the way. You never get put in a position by somebody. You always put yourself in a position to be taken advantage of. Always remember that, ladies and gentlemen. Acosta forced out by the liars in the media. Now, a lot of people on the conservative side saying Alex Acosta is horrible for not, coming up with a stiffer sentence for Epstein. And there's conflicting reports on this, but I believe the one that says that if he didn't get the 13 months, the restitution, the 2 felony counts, and also having to register as a sex offender, he was going to walk with a misdemeanor. Now, there's pushback on that, but the people that were responsible are no longer in office, so who do you believe? So there you have it. It's not so clear cut as everyone in the media would like to have it. So I think that Acosta is probably telling the truth. I also think in this case, Trump left it up to Acosta whether to stick around. Trump seemed very willing to back him through the S-storm of the media here. But I'm not, we're not privy to the details, so I can't really tell for sure. I'm just giving you my gut on it. I think Acosta's a good guy. He did all he could, and he was doing a hell of a job in reducing labor regulations in this country, causing a boom for, small business. So it's a loss to this country and this administration for Alex Acosta to step down, in my estimation. And this Epstein crap, they're calling it a victory. If they can do this to one in the Trump administration, they can do this to anybody, anywhere. So it just makes me angry, because if the shoe was on the other foot, you wouldn't have ever heard a word about this. If Hillary Clinton was president, you wouldn't even know about the sentence being light in Miami County for Jeffrey Epstein. Makes your stomach turn, doesn't it? Everybody's screaming that Trump backed off on the citizen question. Nothing could be further from the truth. President Trump has immediately directed all government agencies to report data on citizenship versus non-citizenship of people present in this country will result in a much more accurate picture of who is a citizen and who is not, who is resident in the United States of America. Now, when the media finally figured this out, they started attacking him from that, and laid off of he backed off and started attacking Trump for, he can't direct his executive branch agencies to give him the data, to collate the data and find out who's here legally. Well, what in the hell do we have a government for then? What are they supposed to be doing if not that? That's one of the most important functions. Unbelievable crap, man. It's like every single day we were assaulted with this assault on common sense. There's absolutely no common sense left. Decades ago, was a book called The Death of Common Sense, and that was the precursor to what we have today. They spelled it out in that book, what was happening to our society, and by God, if that author, I forget the name, wasn't right on that, for sure. And why was the Obama administration able to remove the citizen question from the census without any media flap? Well, that's a rhetorical question, of course. And then the fact that it was in there since 1870, 2010 was the first time it was pulled out. And now the Supreme Court tells Donald Trump he doesn't have a sufficient reason to want to put it back in. If that isn't a case for term-limiting Supreme Court justices, I don't know what in the hell is. That Chief Justice, he's got to go. I don't know how, but he's got to go. Bring on some ice here in Phoenix. It's 111 degrees. We can use some ice, double entendre intended. We have plenty of ice. I gotta credit Rich Oswald for that too. I picked it up on Facebook. Thanks, Rich, for your wit and your patriotism, brother. We need to get these people that have been adjudicated to be deported from this country the hell out of here. Not today, yesterday. I can't believe all the flap about it. We only got about halfway through our notes of what I wanted to go over here in the opening of the Article 5 hour this fine Sunday afternoon, July 14, 2019. 111 degrees in Phoenix, Arizona. We'll be right back after the break with much more here on the Article 5 hour. Don't go anywhere. I need 3 hours.
What's up, guys? We're going to be on the next segment, so bear with me. Started that.
1100 KFNX.
Hello, I am Dave Giles, and I am running for U.S. Congress in Arizona's 9th Congressional District.
The ice raids. The ice raids.
Bill of Rights.
We're not having them here in Arizona. There will be no ice raids in Arizona.
Why? That's where all the people are?
Right. Meanwhile, they're melting down and tearing down. They tried to shut down the light rail. They took over Phoenix streets at the ICE office Saturday night. 16 of them arrested. One of them was
take away your safety and security.
person involved with the churches.
Oh, that woman that you kept...
No, one of the guys that was arrested was involved with the
socialism, continue building
churches.
our country, the greatest country in the world. Support. Please visit my website at davegilesforcongress.com.
Yeah.
And make a donation.
So they shut down, they stood in the street.
Building America, and especially Arizona.
What is it with
God bless America, and God bless
What they did in
Arizona.
Colorado.
Children in cages.
I mean, that's a real question.
They
They took down, I'm gonna write that down.
No sales seminars, no upsells.
How do they get away with that?
Why is it desirable to shit in the street?
Short-term trading. Join hundreds of
Who does that?
online trading room monitoring.
People in third world countries at least shit in a pot and throw it in the ditch.
Most risk assessors
Right.
and educators with over 30
Because it's not their country. They don't care.
But even if it wasn't your country, I don't see how that's a reason to shit in the street. I don't get it, man. It's like demonic or something.
Up to 10 hours a day of moderated
And I'm
training.
not trying to be...
Anarchy. That's all it is.
But these people aren't educating the ways of anarchy.
To see if what we
These
do
border jumpers, all they are is coming over here to get our free stuff.
I don't know.
Not all of them.
No. It's the kids. So it's the illegals kids that have grown up here. The anchor babies are now adults. And they're voting, and
I hope
they're running riot,
because if you're right,
and
we
they
don't
hate
have a
us.
country anymore.
They hate us.
If you're right, we don't have a country anymore. And we're not, we've lost. I hope you're wrong.
Smokeless cutters from U.S. vendors. CM offers
Anchor babies got to stand up for their illegal
in the
parents.
USA by veterans. Choose from 3G, 3G18 Pro, 3G competition, or the awesome 450 SOCOM hammer.
Breaking news, this camera is way too good.
Call 916-727-9967. Visit ammunition.com.
I'm used to my dirty lens.
You're listening to the Article 5 Hour and Independent Talk 1100 Campaign. You're listening means
Oh, yeah?
you know the power of talk radio. Why not boost
Exotic
your business
parts
and support
and
a top political
firearms.
commentary
Nice.
by advertising on this show? The cost is a fraction of what you think it is, and the ROI averages 6 to 1. Text, not call.
Did you inherit some unwanted guns?
There's a lot of people that get a gun collection and don't know what the hell to do with it. They go to the pawn shop and give them away.
Or email
This guy will buy it and give you a fair price.
to increase your business and support free speech.
Nice.
The true voice of Arizona. Independent Talk 1100 KFNX.
I love the Metallica. I'll stay on my ear.
Welcome back to the Article 5 Hour. I'm JD Smailish, your host. We've been going through the subjects at hand at lightning speed. I get 44 minutes of broadcast time a week to give you the take. And I hate this being an event-driven show because we try to give you an overview of what we ought to do in order to preserve liberty and freedom in this country. But the assaults come fast and loose from every angle every week, and we end up being more event-driven than I'd like to be. So please hang with us on that. So while I give kudos to the Coasties, our Coast Guard for finding 17,000 pounds of cocaine on the open seas in a submarine, for God's sake. How the hell did they even do that? You gotta get hats off to our Coast Guard. Now, which brings me right to my mantra. We need a border guard with the same kind of charter that the Coast Guard has. They are police. They are military. They are paramedics. We need the same thing on our border, in between our points of legal entry in this country. The border guard can be patched over, those with military experience and paramedic experience. Those that do not have it can be incorporated in help at the ports of entry and in administrative roles and all the different things we need to manage our border. But hear me, Mr. President. Border Guard, new branch of the Coast Guard, or an equal type chartered branch of the military such as the Coast Guard. This is essential. What also is essential, you guys, is for us to get rid of the treasonous, selfish, criminal element in the Congress, which is nearly the entire Congress. Now, every 2 years, we have the opportunity to get rid of 435 members of the House and 33 members of the Senate. Do we do it? No. We leave 94% of these jackasses in office every single term. Who's that on? Is that on them? They're taking advantage of us. No, it's on you for not getting your ass out there to vote. And get those people, particularly in the primaries, so we could get real citizen legislators elected to our most important functions. Now, you would think that would solve the problem. No, that's about 15% of the problem. The other 85% of the problem is the unelected employees of the federal government inhabiting D.C. These creatures are in there, president after president, election after election. They've never been elected at anything, but yet they're the ones running the government. And these new figureheads we throw in there, they get steered around by these people. So don't think that term limits is the only thing we need to do. We need to revise the civil servant statutes so they can be fired for no reason at all, just for the hell of it. That's what needs to happen, because they've been voted in laws that the civil service, it's almost impossible to get rid of these jackasses. So we got lots of problems in here. You listen to some of the media and think, oh, everything's okay. Listen to conservatives, everything's okay. Listen to Democrats, everything's always screwed up because of the conservatives. It's all BS. But back to the border for a minute. We want to go back to these ICE raids, why they're happening, why they're not happening, and what happened last Saturday. And with us to help us talk about this is none other than Jennifer Harrison. Go ahead, Jen.
Hey guys, so yeah, the Phoenix anarchists, illegal aliens, and all of the sympathizers took over the ICE field office in Phoenix and took over the street in front of the ICE office and shut down the light rail, which resulted in 16 arrests. You know, it was the Trump rally, Phoenix 2.0. The only thing missing was the tear gas and the pepper bullets.
I'll also play it next time.
Yeah. We were waiting for that. I was hoping to see it, but you know, shout out to our AZ Patriot Eddie, who went in there solo and live streamed this. You can find all the footage on our page at AZ Patriots, and it was just, you know, they were waving the commie flags, and this was a national protest. This was going on in every major city around the country. So from LA to New York and everything in between. In Colorado, they literally removed the U.S. flag and hung the Mexican flag.
I saw that, and I commented on that, and I'll just leave it at that, because if they keep that up, if you remember the first Yes We Can BS that happened in Phoenix. Yes, Si Se Puede. If you remember that, that is what woke up a large portion of this population to what was actually happening with illegal aliens from Mexico.
Right.
And it spurred the passage of Arizona, what was that bill?
SB 1070.
SB 1070, which was only partially defeated by the Supreme Court when you say that the states can't enforce federal law.
Right.
But all the rest of 1070 stayed in place. People, that never gets reported, okay? So the backlash, my point is the backlash that was inspired by Mexican illegals waving the Mexican flag in the streets of Phoenix was very foolhardy on their part. And this thing in Colorado is very similar in my view, and more people are awake to what's going on, and I don't think it's very wise of them to do that. Let's just leave it at that.
Right. But I think it empowers them also. So, you know, whereas 10 years ago, so much of our population was disgusted by that. Like, this is our country. That is our flag. You don't belong here. Whereas now we have, oh, but they just want a better life.
Well, your point is we've been so inundated with rhetoric of the left that is sympathetic to illegals crashing our border and stealing our national resources, our tax dollars in one way or another, that we've been so conditioned that we're not as offended as we were in 10 years, if I'm reading your point right.
Absolutely. And they want to repeal Prop 300. The illegal aliens of Arizona want to repeal Prop 300, which gives discounted tuition to illegal aliens. And their argument is that things have changed so much in Arizona. And by that, they mean the illegals population has increased, and liberal tolerance has increased.
Well, I fear that this is reality, but I think this element is over-exaggerated by the liberal media. And by that I mean the rank and file person in this country that's an American citizen, when they're made aware of the realities of these attempts at changing the demographics of this country, are truly alarmed, but they're not the type of people that will go out publicly and say so.
Right.
So I believe there's a much more than we realize pushback of the general population of the attempt to basically take over the culture of America and dilute it to the point where we are defenseless against the democratic socialists.
Right. But you know what? I am that person that'll get out there and say it. So if you're in this country illegally, get out. Go home. We don't want you here.
Not only that, why is it okay for you to jump ahead of the people that have been trying to get here and do things the legal way, the respectful way, for sometimes anywhere from 3 to 10 years it takes to get through all the stupid red tape? Now, I'll be the first one to say we ought to simplify the process of legal immigration. It doesn't need to be so damned hard for people to come here legally. But I'm not willing to touch any of that until we secure this border and dare I say, deport these people who have jumped the fence. Okay, here's the thing. You might find this interesting. I have like 2 or 3 liberal friends who are reasonable people that, well, you can sit and have a discussion about these things with.
Okay.
Now, she said her favorite president was, take a guess.
Obama?
No, General Ike.
Okay.
And I found that interesting, considering Ike is the one who created Operation Wetback, where we literally round up and bust out 6 million illegal aliens in the 1950s.
Why can't we do that again?
And this person is a liberal, and that is their favorite president.
Okay.
So, point being, there is an element, and I think the biggest element, of the Democrat Party that is still American. The ones that get all the press are these wild-eyed, insane progressives that have no regard for anything, including human life.
True.
And I don't think that's the majority of the Democrat Party. So things may not be as hopeless as they appear, is the point. But I admit this is an anecdotal story, but I hear a lot of these anecdotal stories. And as evidenced by the Democrat Party trying to quell the Fab Four there, the crazy-ass progressives that grab all the camera time. We'll be right back on the Article 5 Hour with Jennifer Harrison right after the news. Don't go anywhere. Better than anything else that's on this weekend.
My back is killing me.
It gets worse, trust me. Back problem.
Officials say the
Busted my
response to
toe,
tropical
man.
depression Derry has gone well, even though they remain concerned about the risks of flooding and heavy rainfall.
Like I said, it gets worse.
McGinnis says
Fuck
Derry
up.
is moving on.
The remnant are going to gradually make it.
If you survive your life another 10, 20 years, it'll get worse. Trust me.
I ain't gonna make it.
For
Yeah, you-
Shreveport, you could see some pretty good rainfall.
Hey, guys.
2 to 4 inches possible.
Where we go with the rain shit?
Democrats have been reacting to President. Can't take it.
Oh, we have a troll on there?
Oh, good. Yay, trolls. Go, trolls.
Right.
We'll chop you up later when we have time
Right.
after the broadcast.
The only ones that are offended are usually the illegals that hop on.
You know what happens when I get a troll?
Uh-huh.
I get a troll and I cut them to shreds with 2 or 3 sentences and they go away.
Yeah.
They don't even stick
Not
around.
mine. They report everything.
Mine just go away.
I'm in Facebook jail. I got a 30-day sentence.
Is that why I haven't seen you?
Yeah, for sharing my InfoWars article.
Oh, yeah, you can't do that.
No,
You're lucky you don't close your account.
I know. I'm like that
InfoWars,
close.
you got to hide the InfoWars.
Yeah.
What we got to do is we got to tell Alex and the War Room guy, we got to tell them we need a code word for the article to replace
Currently in downtown.
InfoWars. So
Right.
people know it's from InfoWars,
Right.
but the algorithms don't know it's
You
from
gotta misspell
InfoWars.
it.
Yeah, or change the spelling or do something.
No sales seminars, no
Use a 1 instead of an I.
Use a 0 for an O, put a space in between them.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, we had to do stuff like that.
Successful trader and
Or me.
foremost risk assessors and educators.
My whole foot is numb.
Years in trading. Watch our mentor take
I'm not gonna live. I'm not gonna make it, guys.
Gangrene is gonna
when
say.
to take a trade and when not to trade. The group offers two personal liaison to get started, and with up to 10 hours a day of moderated trading, there
Well, we're going to come back, I guess, with Pelosi telling everybody.
Yeah. That's what I want to talk about. De Blasio.
Well, what did he say? I mean, there's so much.
Yeah, same thing. Informing them not to answer the door. And this isn't who we are. This isn't who we are as a city.
I'm not as offended from de Blasio as I am from
I'm always
Nancy
offended by de Blasio.
I know, but Nancy Pelosi is the Speaker of the House. She's third in line to the presidency.
Right.
This is malfeasance.
Right.
He's nothing.
Yeah, he's a goofy mayor that even in New Yorkers don't like.
Right. Did you see the soccer team though? Dion Cini was behind them with this huge Trump 2020 flag through their whole parade. They had 2 of the flags out. So props out to Dion, guys. What's his website? Trump
2020 swag.
Yes, Trump2020swag.com. That's Dion.
Refinance today and pay
How many minutes do we have?
car and home improvement loan for even cash out. Credit score down to 500 accepted with no lender fees. Call Mark Field, Arizona Mortgage Loan Originator of the Year at 602.
And then we're back to the kids in cages.
Yeah.
At 602-241-2500. NMLS 9650.
I have to touch on the social media summit too, which is seriously lacking in substance, I think.
Why weren't we invited? We've done more for the border than anybody else I've ever seen. I want to know why we
For
weren't.
what?
The social media summit at the White House with all the influencers, all the social media influencers.
Expert who will handle your case.
We'll have nobody else at the border doing as much as we've done down there.
Department of Revenue, as well as prepare
Well,
tax returns. Call us at
We're not getting seen by the regular.
Everyone else has been arrested that's been down at the border.
I know.
They're either arresting us or suing us.
No.
You know, luckily I don't have a criminal record.
Independent Talk, 1100 KFNX.
Oh yeah, Ted Nugent brings us back to the Article 5 Hour. Welcome to it. I'm J.D. Smaley, your host. Thank you so much for joining us this fine Sunday afternoon on Independent Talk 1100 KFNX, the 50,000 watt blowtorch of the great southwestern United States. And we're here in studio with Jennifer Harrison, and we're talking about all the events, unfortunately, of this week. I truly want to shift the show back to historical education and why you should vote and why it matters and why the Constitution is important and why the Declaration of Independence is being crapped all over. I'd like to talk about that stuff more, but we have to cover things like Nancy Pelosi telling illegals not to open the door for ICE. Now, this is so wrong and so insulting that someone who is the third in line for the President of the United States and instructing people that are here in this country illegally and have already been adjudicated to be deported to not answer the door to ICE agents. It's appalling, Jen.
That's right. And who are these people? They're criminals, right? So we've already proven that they're child molesters, they're rapists, you know, they're gang members, they're violent criminals. And for the Speaker of the House to blatantly stand up there and undermine this country and disrespect the rule of law like that is just unbelievable.
See, the problem with that, and I'm going to get a little philosophical in just a second, most countries are held together by either religion or ethnicity or a combination of both.
Right.
The United States of America is held together by what?
The rule of law.
The rule of law, the Constitution of the United States, the codification of human rights guaranteed by what? Nature and nature's God. This is what binds us together. We are people from all over this planet.
Right.
We have no other hegemony except our rule of law. And this attack on the rule of law by the Speaker of the House should not be let go. She should be ordered to step down from Congress by her constituents. But that's not going to happen. She comes from the Bay Area.
Absolutely. She's part of the
Where
crime
crapping
family.
in the street is just fine.
Yeah.
But, you can't vape, but you can shoot heroin and crap in the streets,
Right.
and that's just fine.
Right.
There's how your there's how your progressives run your cities.
Can't use a straw. Can't use
No
a straw.
straw, but you can crap in the street and shoot
Absolutely.
heroin. That's just a wonderful thing.
That's right. And they're just so dumb. They're making it sound like our federal government, that our ICE agents are going door to door and picking brown people out of their homes.
The followers
They are criminals.
The followers of these folks
Yes.
are the dumb ones.
Yes.
The people instituting these egregious policies are anything but dumb. What they are is what you said before. They are anarchists.
Mm-hmm.
Their business is to take down the United States of America because our country is the only thing standing in the way of unified world leftist government that will enslave the entire population of the world. That is the UN's stated goal in white papers, and guess who stands in the way?
Us.
You, Jennifer Harrison, me, JD, the talk show host from Phoenix, and all you other great patriots out there that have the guts to stand up for our great nation. So this Pelosi stuff really has me hacked off.
Oh, AOC too. Did you see her photo shoot in front of the detention center? And she's walking by with her hands in her face in her hands, and she's standing in front of a parking lot. She wasn't looking at children.
It was a total photo shoot.
Those children are well taken care of, and those children were brought here unaccompanied. So they were sent here with smugglers, coyotes, traffickers, right? They were not ripped from their parents' arms unless their parents were drug dealers, murderers, rapists. So come on. And then you have the stupid liberals that play into this, and the left is melting down again. We're back to kids in cages. We're back to shutting down ICE offices. Enough is enough.
Now, did you hear Tom Homan testify in the House of Representatives? He put AOC in her place.
Good.
And she looked like a damnable fool that she is. Now, I don't like to make fun of AOC like a lot of us
do.
The reason is this, because this woman has the reasoning power of a 6-year-old. Now, that in and of itself isn't dangerous, but she believes her own BS. And a lot of people, there's a whole generation that thinks she's really smart about social issues. So that makes her dangerous. The fact that she has no power of reason and is a member of Congress from Queens, which is she's unlikely to be defeated in the next election, because you can't elect a Republican. Now, she might be primary.
She should be making me a drink, not making laws.
She might be primary from her right flank in the Democrat Party in that district, because I know a lot of people from Queens, and they think she's ridiculous.
Right, but you know what? She panders to the brain dead social justice warriors of this country, which is the millennials and the old hippies. Those are the worst, I think. The old hippies.
Well,
the old hippies
they're
from the
true
60s.
Commies.
Yes.
They're the true commies.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's a very interesting dynamic with, but even worse than AOC, because at least she was born in the United States. We have Omar.
Oh.
Omar, to me, doesn't even belong in this country.
No, nuh-uh.
And Tlaib was born here, but she doesn't belong in Congress. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
And that other one, the newest one of the Fab Four there, I forget her name, I think. But anyway, these people, Nancy Pelosi, they make Nancy Pelosi look like a right-winger.
Right, it's true.
And she's like the worst progressive that we ever knew of before these people came along. So the evolution of the political situation in our country is dire, and we're getting pounded with this stuff because the media will not call on it. Now, I want to shift real quick before we go on a break to the Mueller hearing being postponed. And you heard me say in this broadcast before that Robert Mueller will never testify in Congress.
Right.
Now, I could be proven wrong on the 24th of July when he scheduled the delayed scheduling, but I highly doubt if any of that testimony will be public. If he does testify, it'll be behind closed doors, and I don't know that our Republican people are as leaky as the Democrats, and they're not going to want to leak what he has to say because it's going to bolster Trump's story, not
right.
That's why
they're not going to reveal anything that's gonna make them guilty of what they've done. This is a political cartel, okay, and they know what they're doing.
Is acting like a moron. Right. Now I know he's not a moron, so I don't really quite understand that dynamic. Because Nadler isn't a moron, but he's acting like a moron. That can only mean one thing as I think about that. He thinks that everyone that is for him is a moron. That's what he must think. So you people that love Gerald Nadler and what he's doing, just know he thinks you're a moron. So let that sink in. Now, we also want to go over some of the other missed items. I want to look at
citizenship
social media summit.
Okay.
Well, the citizenship thing is interesting. I did kind of cover that. Let's touch on that a little bit. Everyone thinks that Trump, all the punditry, I should say, thinks that Trump had to back down from getting the citizen question put back on the census after Obama is the one, his administration took it off. 1870 to 2010, it was on there, and then now you want to put it back on. It takes the Supreme Court tell the president he can't do what the president's supposed to do. It's a ridiculous bunch of crap. But here's the thing: the president's executive order to have his agencies gather that data and give it and come up with the numbers that we need for allocation of funds and whatnot is going to be a far more accurate way and harder for the courts to permeate that. Because he's the head of all those agencies.
Right. So they're going to block him at every turn.
So the media, they're going to try, but I don't think they're going to get even through the district court with that one because it's so clear-cut that he has authority to do that. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Yes. But I think overall, in the long term, it's going to be a win for Trump, not a lose. Like everybody thinks he backed off, and he had to. I just listened to the idiots in the Wall Street Journal report talk about that stuff today. And they're wrong. As usual, those guys are wrong a lot, by the way. Right. For someone who's on our side, they're wrong an awful lot. Anyhow...
but if we lose this will affect things for a decade. Like, this will affect the representation, the money, so...
Yeah, that's true.
And they know how to play this.
But even more critical than that is if we do not take back the House in 2020 and keep the presidency,
we're done.
This country is over, folks. It's time to find another country because the evil forces will have taken over everything we love and care about, and your children's future and your grandchildren's future will be gobbled up by the leftist hordes. We'll be back on the Oracle 5 Hour with the Harrison Report right after these words from our sponsors. Don't you go anywhere.
Okay, so I want to talk about the water drops, the permits from the BLM for the water drops. Who's moving through in the night now that the summer?
We're still waiting for those permits, right?
Yeah.
Am I getting those?
Who's moving through in the night crossing? It's not the family unit.
No, it's going to be
it's the child molesters, the criminals, the drug mules. Yeah.
Sure. Okay, that's our next mission. We're going to go night scope.
Night ops.
Accomplished for our country and for our state. But sadly, Arizona is now blue. And I will do my best to take back Arizona. Our opposition wants to destroy our
It's his show, guys. Calm down. I'm a guest.
Have open borders and take away your safety and security.
I'm a guest. I get the last segment, but I
communism has no place in our country.
Chime in on the second and third segment too, but I get the next segment.
We need to stop the growth of socialism, continue building and keeping our country the greatest country in the world. I'm asking for your support. Please visit my website at DaveGilesCongress.com. Any contributions you make will go towards building supporting America, and especially Arizona.
I'm building today.
God bless America, and God bless Arizona.
Paid for by Big Time for Market.
The S&P 500 Trading Group offers the ultimate in trading education. No sales seminars, no
My toe's
upsells,
about
no
to fall
expensive
off.
books, no BS. Learn how to make a full-time income with
I lost
short-term
half of my
trading.
toe.
Join hundreds of members in our live online trading room moderated by the group's founder.
It's a big blister. It's a big blister. I had a huge blister on my toe.
Educators with over 30 years in trading.
It started from when we were
trades in
in
real time with real money, demonstrating how and when to take a trade and when not to trade. The group offers new members a personal liaison to get you started, and with up to 10 hours a day of moderated trading, there is always access to help. You are never alone. Bring your manners and be our guest in the trading room for two-hour sessions to see if what we do is for you. It's free and there is no obligation. This approach to trading education is absolutely life-changing. Call 877-877-7746. That's 877-877-7746. Change your life now. 877-877-7746.
And yeah, there's no raids in Arizona. We can't get rid of the damn illegal population that we have here.
Handgun, rifle, and cowboy action ammunition. Bishop uses the cleanest burning smokeless powders from Spenders. PM offers variety of rifles hand-built in the USA by veterans. Choose from a 3G, 3G18 Pro, 3G competition, or the awesome 450 SOCOM hammer. See their catalog at bishopammunition.com or call 916-727-9967. BishopAmmunition.com. God bless the Second Amendment. You're listening to the Article 5 Hour and Independent Talk 1100 KFNX. The fact that you're listening means you know the power of talk radio. Why not boost your business and support adult political commentary by advertising on this show? The cost is a fraction of what you think it is, and the ROI averages 6 to 1. Text, not call, text your info to 480-455-9923. That's 480-455-9923, or email jd@article5hour.com to increase your business and support free speech.
News you won't get anywhere else. Independent Talk 1100 KFNX.
Mother, should I trust the president?
Of course.
Mother, do you think they'll try to break my balls?
Absolutely.
Well, the wall doesn't fit the Republican Party's and the Democrat Party's objectives, does it? Or it had been built a long time ago. That's right, folks. The Republican Party is the main problem here. They say they're one thing, but they are another thing. Paul Ryan proves that this week, saying he couldn't wait to retire because he wasn't going to spend another 2 years under that man. Well, Paul Ryan, I had you pegged as a phony from the beginning. Never trust a man that looks like Howdy Doody. Anyway, we're back in the Article 5 Hour. J.D. Smith is your host, and it's time now for the Harrison Report.
So let's touch on the border. So family crossings down, crossings plummeted, right? They've reported this is the lowest numbers, in over a year. So where'd they go? We saw groups of hundreds a day coming through, upwards of 1,000 a day coming through, and now just nothing. I don't understand. Arizona, Yuma's dead. There's nothing, no more crossings in that site in Yuma that we were at for 3 months. So who's coming through? Is it because of the heat? So they're moving the criminal organizations, the child molesters. If you look at CBP, they're going to tell you who's coming through the night, and that is the drug mules, the drug cartels, and the child molesters. So all of the bad hombres that Trump talked about, all the people we don't need here, we don't want here, are still moving through the desert. We were out in El Centro, California last weekend, and we discovered the water drops. So they actually got BLM permits. So Bureau of Land Management issued permits to the leftist humanitarians leaving 6 gallons of water every quarter of a mile. And
for the drug traffickers.
Exactly. With the big flags and marked agua, right? And there was 6 gallons of water in this tub with a BLM permit number on on the tub. So this is the open, barren desert. There's not family units moving through this sector of border. This is only drug cartels, drug mules. So we are hydrating them as they're passing through. So, I mean, what's next? Are we going to leave a bologna sandwich as well? No. I mean, why are we issuing permits for this?
You know, that's why I advocate for a thing called the Border Guard, who has the same medic capabilities and rescue capabilities as the Coast Guard. Because as you know, the Coast Guard has basically three functions. They're police, they're military, and they're paramedics.
That's right.
That's what we need on the border in between our legal entry points.
Right.
Even after the wall, because there's tunnels, there's people scaling walls, there's all those kinds of things.
And your federal government does not want you to know what is going on in those corridors, because we have our border partner from Southwest Border Watch was flying his drone over one of the areas, and BLM confiscated his drone, said it was a nuisance and he was interfering.
Out there in the middle of freaking nowhere.
Yes, but leaving water for drug cartels isn't a nuisance. That isn't interfering.
Well, let me just play devil's advocate on that. You know what the story is. The water is there for the poor people that are just trying to cross into the United States to find work.
Yeah.
I know,
there's
but
water
that is
on the other side of the border.
That is the narrative.
Right, right. But there's water on the other side.
They're saying they leave the water for the children of the people that are, you know, schlepping across our border illegally. That shouldn't be a death sentence. That is their argument.
Right.
But in the reality of it, folks, is the people that are using the water are the drug traffickers, the drug mules, the human traffickers, the pedophile traffickers, the people that have children sex slaves and bring them across the border to clients of Jeffrey Epstein, for God's sake. It's all tied together, you guys.
That's right. But you know what? We'll let you know exactly who's using that water, because we're setting some trail cams up, but we're going to do some night operations and see exactly who's moving through at night.
We can't wait for the videos there.
Yeah.
I don't know how the hell you do it. It's all I can do to do this radio show and give you some outlet. Not that you haven't been on other outlets and you're going everywhere, but I mean, you know, we have to let your work be heard by the maximum amount of people, whether it be local shows or whether it be national shows, whatever. We have to let you guys be heard about what's going on, because although you sparked some major media trips to the border through your actions, I believe, they did it once and left it alone. And I love Maria, but all she does is cry about the baby she saw.
Right.
I mean, over and over again. That's the only, she hasn't pursued it further.
Right.
Because people that live, you know, people that live east of the Hudson,
they have no idea what's going on.
They don't know what the hell is going on in the rest of the country. They really don't.
Right, and we're down there to report it and document on it because...
And I can say that in your presence because you're from New York.
I'm from Brooklyn, yes.
And you know what I'm saying is true.
No, they have no idea. They have no clue. They have no clue. But we're there to report and document because it's raw, unedited footage as it's happening in real time, and people can see for themselves the truth and the reality of what is happening on the border. And the media, they want to spoon feed you what they want you to know, and that's why they're afraid of us, because we bring the truth.
That's absolutely correct. Why don't you run down the list of media that you've appeared on so people know where they can look out for you, like the War Room, like Bertram's show, and why don't you go down the litany of where you've been, other than, of course, right here on the Article 5 Hour?
Recently, we've been contributing a lot to America's Voice, so that's huge because they have their own app, and InfoWars as well. Owen Schroyer and I have made friends, and I'm waiting to get in touch with the big Mr. Jones himself, but it's funny because we conservatives, those who seek the truth and those who wish to talk about the truth, are being pushed off of social media. We're being pushed into creating our own apps. So America's Voice has its own app and its own site. Alex Jones and the War Room has their own app and their own the site.
And don't forget News Wars,
Right,
which
right,
isn't made the algorithms yet. So you
Right.
can post all this stuff on News Wars and
Right.
get
So
away
the
with it.
message will continue to get out there, but if you share it, then you'll be banned. So I was putting a 30-day ban on Facebook for sharing my interview on the War Room.
Right. No wonder I haven't seen you on it.
Yep. Yep.
So as this social media thing develops, the fear is that the government will regulate social
absolutely. They
media.
already
We
are.
do not want the social media regulated. What we want is them to have to pick one between being a public square or being a publisher. They cannot have it both ways. Therein lies the problem.
Another issue I have, we've been raising funds for our lawsuit with the SPLC suing us on behalf of the churches for exposing illegal immigration, and we had a GoFundMe, and our funds are tied up in GoFundMe. It's under review. So I don't know if they're going to release that money to me. We raised $5,000 in the GoFundMe.
That's damn near enough for a retainer, isn't it?
Yes, and we have retained an attorney, and he's going to need to be paid so that those funds.
No, they did that to our election people too here, if you remember, in 2018. My goodness.
Social media is already regulated. We're already done. They control what you say.
The antitrust needs to be brought to bear on them as well, because they keep buying up all the little guys, so there can't be any competition. Trump has the power here. He can direct us to what other platforms we can find him on, and that will aggrandize those platforms and diminish the ones that are social or editing everyone, let's say.
That's right.
Thank you, Jen Harrison, for being with me here, riding shotgun on the Article 5 hour this week. Keep up the great work, and thanks for your very, very courageous missions at the border. We appreciate you guys very much. Arizona Patriots, you guys, on Facebook. Support Bishop Ammunition and Firearms. Go to their Facebook page. The S&P 500 Trading Group, 877-877-7746. And I'll be back next Sunday at 167 hours, 4 p.m. right here on Independent Talk, 1100 KFNX, to bring you the next Article 5 hour. Till then, God bless you and your family. God bless America. Let's keep making America great again. And look out for our new sponsor, Exotic Parts and Firearms, coming your way soon. I'm coming home, honey.
Why aren't I 50 points ahead?